food is scarce and only seldom available. How on earth could they be feeding themselves then? The food source is traveling horizontally rather than vertically, according to the researchers, who believe it is possible that the drift of this marine snow has been turned on its side. The researchers discovered that there are fruitful locations between 240 and 580 miles away after studying current charts near the drill site. Even while it might not be much, it's possible that hundreds of miles worth of organic material is traveling through these currents to support these animals. Given that marine snow formed at the surface must fall 7 miles to reach the seafloor in the deepest region of the ocean, the Challenger Deep near Guam, that distance is astounding. Food would have to travel up to 133 times that far, and it would have to do so by floating sideways to get some inflow. And even across distances of hundreds of kilometers, that inflow will transport biological material. This would provide sustenance for our life forms that were trapped on that boulder. Additionally, the currents could introduce new species to the animal community on the rock. However, because they were unable to get samples, the researchers are still unsure of the precise diet of these sponges and other creatures. While some sponges are carnivorous and feed on small creatures, others filter organic debris from the water. Additionally, since the camera didn't catch any mobile species like fish or crabs, scientists are unsure if any form of predation exists on the sessile invertebrates. Do they all consume the same kind of food? Or do some of them maybe share nutrients with one another? Or are there additional roving creatures feeding this colony in any way? Only a different trip can provide the answers to these issues. The animals don't appear to be in danger of being buried because it does seem that the sedimentation surrounding the rock isn't that heavy. Alternatively, it's possible that their parents were on a rock thousands of kilometers away, where a more typical marine ecology begins and the ice shelf ends, and they discharged their sperm and eggs to float in the currents. Additionally, the researchers are unable to estimate the age of these creatures because they lack specimens. Given the long lifespans of Antarctic sponges, it's plausible that this ecosystem is incredibly old. The rock may have been infused with life long ago, but currents have also added new life to it through the centuries. Furthermore, the researchers are unable to determine whether this rock is an anomaly, or whether similar ecosystems are typical beneath the ice. These animal populations might not only have happened by chance when the scientists put their camera onto the rock, perhaps they are a common sight on the sea floor beneath Antarctica's ice shelves. These floating ice shelves cover an area of 560,000 square miles. The glacier's collapse could start a domino effect that causes the neighboring glaciers to also melt away. The Thwaites Glacier, often known as the Doomsday Glacier, is melting in unanticipated ways in Antarctica, and this could cause it to quickly collide. The Thwaites Glacier, which is the size of Florida, has been extensively probed by 2 research teams using an underwater robot and deep trenches. The International Thwaites Glacier Collaboration's researchers found that while overall glacier melting is slower than anticipated, melting in crevasses and other vulnerable locations is moving forward considerably more quickly. As a result of the Thwaites Glacier's potential to produce a catastrophic rise in sea level, it is frequently referred to as the Doomsday Glacier. Although our findings are unexpected, the glacier is still in peril. The amount of ice leaving the continent will equal the amount of ice being lost by melting and iceberg calving. If an ice shelf and a glacier changes, that could cause rapid and irreversible ice loss because of its slope towards the ocean. Thwaites' failure would result in a 2-foot increase in sea level. As a result, nearby glaciers might become unstable, potentially raising sea levels by almost 10 feet in the future. The 2 teams used a 925-foot deep hole drilled into the ice to lower instruments, launch an underwater robot called IceFin under the glacier, and observe ice melt rates as well as the characteristics of the glacier and its surrounding ocean to determine the Thwaites Glacier's susceptibility to collapse. IceFin is especially helpful for examining the Thwaites grounding zone, where the glacier meets the ocean floor and is traditionally very difficult to investigate. Thwaites is one of the glaciers in Antarctica that is changing the fastest, with its grounding zone retreating by 8.7 miles during the 1990s. The causes of this retreat, however, are not well known. To learn that melting throughout the bottom of the ice shelf has generated a staircase-like arrangement, despite the fact that melting in the flat areas of the ice shelf is being slowed down by a layer of cold, fresh water beneath it and above the underlying warm ocean. The terraces are stair-shaped areas where the ice of Thwaites is also melting quickly. As significant rifts move across the ice shelf, melting ice in these terraces, fissures and crevasses may eventually play a significant role in the loss of ice from Thwaites. This implies that the Thwaites ice shelf collapse may be primarily caused by these features. These innovative methods of glacier observation help us comprehend that in these extremely warm regions of Antarctica, what counts is not simply how much melting occurs, but also how and where it occurs. 2017 saw the opening of a hole in Antarctica the size of Ireland. The hole, which is referred to as a polynya, is nothing new, cooler, before being reheated and forced back to the surface. Scientists don't fully understand why the polynyas form, but they think it may be because marine creatures use the openings for breathing. The effects of these unusual, enormous holes are still being studied. We now know that Antarctica is a very old continent that has seen some amazing changes over millions of years. After the Ice Age, Antarctica turned into a frozen desert, but prior to that, it was a balmy place with rainforests and perhaps even civilizations. The discovery of fossilized wood, evidence of tropical plants, and leaf impressions indicating the presence of rainforests in Antarctica led to the development of the idea. There are also a ton of Cretaceous-era dinosaur, avian, and marine mammal fossils that have been discovered by scientists. Among the smaller species, they found microscopic single-celled fossils that have sparked intense dispute among experts, as well as the fossilized forewings. The region's harsh, dry climate preserves the stony shards. On the ice's pristine white surface, the dark meteorites are also simpler to see, and they virtually always contain extraterrestrial rocks, because few rocks naturally occur on Antarctica's ice sheets. Because the vast ice sheet has been stationary long enough for its top layers to be melted by sunlight and strong winds, the East Antarctic is especially primed for the discovery of meteorites. This displays the older ice and massive meteorite concentrations. Since 1976, more than 20,000 samples of extraterrestrial meteorites have been gathered. The largest meteorite recovered in East Antarctica in 25 years was discovered in 2013 by a team of Japanese and Belgian experts. The boulder from another planet weighs an astounding 18 kilograms. After 40 days of searching, the team discovered 425 meteorites totaling 75 kilos in weight. Earth has captured some peculiar activity that is thought to be the work of extraterrestrials. Keep an eye out for any strange green lights in the sky. It's a hotspot for alien hunters. Where no one has gone before, deep below Antarctica's surface, mystery still abounds. According to legend, miles of ice conceal the lost city of Atlantis. When Antarctica was a warm, tropical area, the metropolis would have flourished and would have been buried after the Ice Age froze the continent. Although it is very likely that a civilization once flourished in Antarctica, it has not yet been shown that the continent is the location of the fabled lost city. Additionally, there is speculation that the Nazis used the subterranean of Antarctica as a hideout, and some individuals think that Hitler escaped there during the war. The Nazi Germans erected a station in Antarctica, but it was abandoned 70 years ago after the crew became
unexplained in the sky over the past 2 decades.
In recent times, Maryland has emerged as a captivating hub for UFO sightings, drawing in over 2,000 locals who claim to have encountered enigmatic and extraordinary phenomena in the skies above. The reports are diverse, describing shapes ranging from circular to diamond-shaped, with some witnesses even attesting to the presence of radiant lights emanating from these peculiar objects. This surge in UFO sightings has prompted heightened concern, prompting both NASA and the US government to initiate a thorough investigation. But what exactly do these mysterious objects signify? Why has Maryland become a hotbed for unexplained aerial phenomena? Is extraterrestrial monitoring at play? And perhaps most urgently, how does the government plan to confront this unsettling mystery? Join us as we examine how the US Congress reacts to the 2,000 UFOs